First, we'll pay homage to the lineage gurus, to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming, homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong, homage to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa, and homage to Master Tupten Darji, homage to the three jewels of the altar, homage to the main deity of Homa, Amugapasa Lokeswara, Guan Yin.
师母、各位上师、
all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples present here and over the internet.
我们今天的贵宾是中华民国行政院北美事务协调委员会秘书长廖东洲大使夫人，of
the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan.
生活中中委会会计师特丽莎师姐，中天电视台给你点上心灯节目制作人徐雅琪师姐，庄俊耀医师，Chicago 李杰医师，
and Dr. Li Jie from Chicago.
大家午安，大家好。
Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do?
你好，大家好。
How are you? How are you, everyone?
どうもこんにちは。And good afternoon.
Also in Taiwanese, Cantonese.
那首先那个介绍下个礼拜天。 10月6号
would like to introduce
下午3点
next Sunday,
这个
October
父母的主尊是
Sunday
慧
3
基金刚。
The main deity for the
慧基金刚
Homa is Uchishima.
这个讲这个灌顶慧基金刚的，
So those who would like to receive the empowerments of Uchishima,
尽量的参加。
please
那么慧
try
基
your
金刚
best
这
to
个慧
attend.
基2个字
And the name for the
这样子的。
Uchishima, which
这个金
in
刚神
Chinese
专门
means
除这个
the
秽
dust trails.
除
So this
也就是
deity
除掉
specializes
肮脏的。
in eradicating or eliminating
那么它的来源当然是
or
有讲过
impurities,
是释迦牟尼佛
the dirtiness.
要在
And I have
涅槃的时候，
taught about his origin, that at the time of Sakyamuni Buddha about to enter into Nirvana,
都来
there were many
这个
heavenly
参加这
beings
个
attending,
来等于来参加他本身的一个这个怎么讲？
how should I say
这个不是庆生会，是他要离开这个娑婆世界的。
It's that when the Buddha was about to enter into
也不是一个会
parinirvana,
议啦，也不是个
it's
庆
not a
祝会，
meeting, it's not
就
a
是一个集会，
party,
一
it's
个
a
聚会。
gathering.
所有的
So
天
all
神都到
the
了，
heavenly
只有一
gods
个天神他没有到，
arrived, they all
他还是
came,
很高兴的在欢乐，
except one
叫
god
罗辑天王，
was
罗
still
辑天王，
enjoying
他还是很
himself,
高兴，对。
and
然后
he
很
is
多人都
called
去
the god
劝他一定要来参加，他就是
Loji or Locus.
就不理睬。
And a lot of the other gods invited him to attend, but he ignored them. And he set up a boundary, a very dirty boundary, so that he couldn't be invaded by any of the other heavenly gods or kings. So at that time, Sakyamuni Buddha emanated a Heruka, a wrathful Vajra protector, and that was Uchusma. and he is very bright, powerful, very young, very strong, that could eliminate all the dirt, the dirtiness and impurities. So Uchusuma went to this king, the heavenly king, that was having a party, and he was not afraid of any of the dirtiness. So he entered and then brought the king to the front of Sakyamuni Buddha to attend the farewell gathering for the Buddha's parinirvana. So Uchusuma is a Heruka, a Vajra protector, Vajra god, that's very young, very masculine, very male, very bright, very strong. There was someone who had 7 daughters, and after he got drunk, he got home and he spoke to the dog. So he had 7 daughters. Finally, he came to ask for a son, and I taught him to recite Uchusama mantra, because he could eliminate the yin energy, the yin or negative or dark energy that the males considered yang and the females are considered yin, because the men have more yang energy and women have more yin energy. But Uchusama is completely 100% yang. So if you recite his mantra when you're pregnant, then inside your womb, the fetus would become male, would become a boy, become young, because the yin cannot attach. So if you want to have a son, it is best that you become the primary supplicant for that Homa. And there are other benefits. So if you are attacked by negative energy or negative spirits or black magics or curses or spells and all that, you can ask from Uchusama. He has most power in this case. Like if you have mental disorder or mental sicknesses, that's also psychological or mental problem, or also biological problems, or problems due to the dark or the negative energy. Like if you have attached spirits, or you come across the spirits, or you let the spirits angry, or you're attached by ghosts or spirits or the bad gods, then Uchusama would be best for those. So you can also attend to become the primary supplicant. So if you have ache all around your body, then you can wish for the Uchusama's fire to expel all the sicknesses, the pains, the soreness, and ailments, all the ailments. So that would be best to become the primary supplicant for Uchusama. That's the end of the introduction. And today we perform the Amoghapasa Lokaswara, and I saw a lot of the prayers for the primary supplicants for Bardo deliverance. And his Vajra name is also called the equal guidance to the Pure Lands, which means he will not differentiate whether they are good or bad, virtuous or not. They all would be guided to the Western Paradise, to the Pure Land. So if you are the primary supplicant for Amoghapasa and you bear to deliver your ancestors, they will definitely be guided to the Pure Lands, because his Vajra name is called Equal Deliverance. So naturally, he could also perform purification, enrichment, magnetization, and also subjugation. Everything is perfect. So, of course, he's also helpful to those in a lawsuit because he is non-empty. So if you pray that the lawsuit would win, then you pray to him, and he would throw the lasso and caught the enemies, and they cannot move anymore, then you would win. So that would be good. So he has the lasso, and if you throw that out, he would be able to guide or to let those spirits be born in the Western paradise. And his mudra, first you join your palms, and then the index fingers bent on top of each other, and the two thumbs parallel or across, either way. So that's the mudra for Amoghapasa, and the look. So one hand is holding mala chanting bead, one hand holding lotus blossom, one hand is holding a nectar vase, and one hand is holding the lasso. So Amoghapasa Lokeswara, whatever you ask him would be fulfilled. It will not return. You will not return empty-handed. And then he would use his lasso to fulfill your wishes, to grant your prayers. So there is his image here. And he has several faces, and he has also the third eye. Each face has a third eye. He is considered as one of the 7 Kuan Yin Bodhisattvas, one of the emanation of Kuan Yin or Lokeswara, Avalokiteswara. So this Lokeswara is very great. It's about equal to Mahachundi, Buddha Mother. The power is about equal to Mahachundi, Buddha Mother. In making the offerings to the heavenly gods or to Dakinis or to goddesses or to Lokeswaras, as you have seen earlier, there are powder, lipsticks, eye pencils, mirrors, fake lashes, blushes. You can make offering of those. Although you offer them to them, but you can also retain your own youthfulness and also to lengthen your lifespan. So this deity has this power. Now we will continue to talk about the Great Perfection Dharma. Yesterday we talked about Bao Ping Qi, the treasure vase energy yoga. And today, according to the procedure, we should talk about inner fire, because the Bao Ping Qi, practicing Bao Ping Qi is in order to practice inner fire. But for myself, first, I practice the non-leaking. Why? Because if you still leak, then your lower part would be cold and weak. then you would not be able to concentrate your qi together, and you would not be able to retain or maintain your temperature. And in Taiwanese, we would say that if you leak often, in Taiwanese, we call it's the below, wisting below. It's like a wisted below. It's very difficult to explain. But if you can practice the non-leaking Dharma practice, then it will be easy for you to ignite the inner fire, because you have the capital, you have the firewoods inside your the burner. Then it would be easy to ignite the fire. There's the fire pilot there. So if you often leak from your lower body, then the firewoods would be few, would be little. Then it would be very difficult to ignite the fire. So that's why, in my opinion, you should first practice the non-leaking. So today I will teach the non-leaking practice, and this is already included in the Hevajra teaching. In Tantrayana or Tantric Buddhism, until the Treasure-Based Energy Yoga, that's the practice of Qi. That would be perfect. And then you practice non-leaking, inner fire, and light drops. And what are the benefits to practice non-leaking? That it would generate the bliss or great bliss. And bliss is generated from rubbing. So the great bliss can only be generated when you're non-leaking. If you leak, then the bliss generated is only a small bliss. And the rubbing, the distance is very short. There's this joke. A lot of people, the men go to the bathroom to pee in the urinary. And there are lots of drips around the urinary. So there was a note. So step forward and don't drip outside. But there's still a lot of people dripping around it on the floor. So that when we go in, that we would step on that drippings. And finally, they wrote, I don't remember exactly, but what I meant is, so if you drip when you pee, that means you're short. And from then on, the floor is clean. It's dry. The floor is dry. That's a joke. So those who have wasted below, they would leak. So they drip. So actually when you pee, you would go shoo. So when you're strong and healthy, they would be able to shoot very far. But when you're weak, those who are weak, are old or feeble, they would not be able to shoot far. And not only that, they would drip. As if it's never ending. And they already did it, but they still drip. So that's why the floor under the urinary is wet. So if your body is young and powerful, energetic, then you would shoot very long and just at once. It will not drip to your pants or the floor or wherever. Some people, when they're sick, they cannot control their urination. They have no power to hold on to that water, to the urine. So practicing non-leaking, you can eliminate this problem. And your bladder becomes very powerful. And the storage, the light drops inside the storage are also very tight. It's like the we call that the lock, like in the dam, that it is closed very tight. So the water in the dam would be full. There's no leaks. So because it's closed very tight. So the non-leaking practice is like the water in the dam. It's being closed very tight. It will not leak. And this Dharma practice, there are two. First is visualizing internally, and the second is the technique. Now finally I know. Newton one time told an old lady, I discovered the magnetic field, magnetic power. The gravity. And the old woman thought about her breast and then slapped him. I know you know a lot. It's not funny, but actually it's related. Everything is because of the gravity, everything is downward unless you have power to lift it up. So all power is downward because of the gravity. So Newton discovered the gravity, and the old lady thought about her own breast and know that that's gravity, because it's impossible that as you grow older, the breast going upward, because there is gravity, so it's definitely with drooping. So the nipples are always going downward, never upward. Why? So the old lady knew, and Newton knew. So she said, you knew too much. So this joke, there was another joke. There's an old lady. She asked doctor, where's your heart? It's like about below your breast, left. It's about under the left breast. That's where the heart is. So she took a gun and she shot at the knee because it drooped too much. It drooped all the way to the knees. But if you succeed, if you have fruition in the non-leaking practice, then you would be able to lift up. You will not droop. So there is a meaning in practicing non-leaking. And your yang energy would be robust. There are many benefits in non-leaking practice. Many. First, in the beginning of the practice, you use the Vajra finger. I don't like to form this Vajra finger because when you form this, people would say that you're cursing. But this is a mudra. The mudra of Vajrasattva is this Vajra finger. And after I form it, I would close it with my hand so you cannot see. Why? Why? Because you would say, how come Grandmaster is forming that middle finger? But this is a mudra. But the general public use this mudra, tantric mudra, as something to curse on others. But in Taoism, there's also this mudra, Wang Tianjing. One is holding a whip and the other hand is holding this mudra. So a true Vajrasattva mudra is holding this middle finger. But if you show it to the general public, they would say that you are curved. So I don't lift it up, but I lift it down. So this is Vajra finger. This is a true Vajra finger, but going downward. Because if I lift it upward, you would say that Grandmaster is so you need to push on the tip of your crown, not on my head. It's the hole where your soul can leave your body. So you push it there, you place it there, the finger, and you make a posture, and you visualize that at the center of your navel chakra there is a red home of the Om Ahom. The home is a standing home, and there is a hook at the end that extends to the secret chakra and hook on a white lotus blossom. So in your abdomen there is a red home 6 syllable, and the hook extends outside the secret chakra and hook on a white lotus blossom for the man and red lotus blossom for the woman. The white lotus blossom represents the white body of the man, and the red lotus blossom represents the red body of the woman. And then home. And you lift up the chi to push to the tip of the crown where you place the Vajra finger. And at the tip of the crown there would be the hair knot, the head bum, also a red, and then a white lotus, and then a red six-syllable home. So you lift up first the red lotus out, and then the white lotus on top of it, and then the home. So top is the red home from your abdomen, and then your white lotus, the white lotus blossom, the white body, and then your head bum. And that head bum is the in Tantrayana we use Vajra scepter to represent that. There's gravity there, something fell. So red, white, red. The Vajra scepter that became the head bum. So that's your visualization when you practice. You go hum and closed, a closed sound. Use the chi from below and bring it up. Home, white body, and head bum on top of you. So that's the inner visualization method. For women, the same. With one home, lift up. You shout home and lift up, and it would move and lift. And the red home would ascend to the top, and then a red lotus blossom. That's for woman. That's the red body, to lift the red body to the top. That's the visualization and the practice method for non-leaking. And there's also technique for that. I've said it many times before. In this joke, I asked my son, what would you want to be when you grow up? And he said he wants to be an obgyn, gynecologist. And I asked him why. And he said, because obgyn doctor is the only job that I can take off a woman's pants and still paid by their husbands. So women and men have different structures in their bodies. So women don't have head bumps. For women, they only have the red lotus blossom and a red home, syllable. For men, there is a head bump, a white lotus blossom, and a red home, syllable. They're all through visualization. So by practicing the non-leaking Dharma practice, you would become very strong, because you use this lifting method to lift up. And your central channel, by using this trembling, like what I did on the chair yesterday. See, I lift up my body and also my foot, my leg. You can use the power of qi to lift up. You use this kind of power to lift up, and the central channel would become very straight. and then you would be powerful when you live. This is a kind of power, very powerful and very strong and very cool. You will not stoop, but Grandmaster, because Grandmaster writes so much, that's why I'm a little bit bent on my back. But you need to lift up, then you would be very energetic and full of vitality. And the boss said, I brought some coffee from overseas, and why don't, for everyone. And then after they drank the coffee, the boss asked, so how do you feel? Oh, we feel very energetic, really good. Then, well, in that case, you should work overtime. But truly, by practicing the non-leaking, you would feel very energetic and full of vitality, and you would also be very healthy. And you would have strength in your abdomen. And when you pee, you would be able to shoot very far. When we were young, at the elementary schools, we all competing, everybody on the same line, and see who can shoot the longer, the farthest. Those who have weak bodies definitely cannot shoot very far. But those who are healthy will be able to shoot very far because their lower body parts are very powerful, very strong, and their bladder too. So if you often do this practice, the red home, the white body, and then you send them to the top, if you often practice that, then your lower body part would be strong. So yesterday, like this. So lift up and you just drop yourself. Oh no. Sorry, I broke your chair. If you often throw yourself like that, this is one of the Vajra fist exercise. Your bottoms would hit the ground hard. Then you shake your whole body. The brow chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra, navel chakra, and the base chakra or the regenerative chakra, they all would tremble, and the chakras would shake, then would open them, and then would open all the channels and the chi and the blood circulation. That's also the Vajra exercise. So why would you have pain or discomfort and all that? That's because of inflammations and blockage. So you would often shake your body. And the last posture in the Vajra fist exercise is called the great Ha, shaking of the body. You go Ha, and then you shake your whole body. You jump, and you shake your whole body, and you go Ha. That's the great Ha, shaking of the body. And this other method is you lift yourself and then you drop yourself. Lift and drop. No problem. No problem. Of course, because this is not considered to be a Dharma King throne. It's just a regular chair. I will buy a new one. You know, when I lower myself, I almost fell to the ground. Oh no. So the outer practice, that was the inner practice that I just that I just taught earlier. But the outer practice, you need to live, you need to hold the light drops for the non-leaking. And the sun and the moon looking up, which means that both eyes looking up. This is the guiding method. What are the eyes looking at? To look at your own yidam in the sky. That's the sun and moon looking to the heavens. That's a technique. So when you're about to leak, then you do that, and you focus your mind on your yidam, then you would be able to hold. And then the tip of the tongue touch the upper palate, so that the qi can connect between the upper and the lower part of the body. And then you close your Adam's apple or pull in your chin. I've talked about this a lot before. So when you close the qi, then the qi will not be able to flow down, and the light drops will not be able to leak. So by closing your Adam's apple or pulling in your chin, it's like a straw. Like there's a glass of water, and you put the straw, and you close the tip, and when you lift it up, the water stays inside the straw. The water is inside the straw. It will not drop. Why? That's when you pull in your chin and close your Adam's apple. But when you lift your finger, the water would drip. So that's the principle. So when you close your Adam's apple, the qi will not flow downward, then the light drops will not leak. That's the principle. So you need to pull in your chin and to close. It's like when you're closing the tip of the straw, then the water would stay. So when you let go of your finger, then the qi would flow down and the light drops would also flow. That's third. And fourth is the abdomen touching the back, which means you pull in your stomach and you also pull in your back. So you use the power of your abdomen to retract your light drops inside your body. And you let out the upper qi. So when you close on the Adam's apple, so the water stays. But when you let go of your finger, the water would drip. But if you lift up the qi from the upper part of the straw, the water would go up. So the light drops can go up. So you exhale the upper qi, then the water would ascend, would go up. Newton discovered gravity, so the water should have go down. But when you take away the upper qi, the upper air, then the water would go up. So you use the power of your abdomen to hold it. And last is you lift up your anus. So this is called the Sakya 6 postures. Both eyes looking up, the tip of the tongue touching the palate, pulling in your chin, exhaling all the upper qi, and pulling in the abdomen and the back and lift up the anus. That's the Sakya 6 postures. That's the outer practice. So you need to have that feeling that the light drops is already at the tip, just before you experience the climax, the bliss of the climax. Then you need to retract, to pull back your light drops. So this is called the Sakya 6 postures. So that in a split of a moment that you would be able to do all those 6 Sakya postures. So there's, in the non-leaking practice, there are the inner practices and the outer practices. Of course, this is very difficult to practice, but you need to comprehend and master it. Because once you master it, then you have resources, you have capitals, then you would be able to ignite your inner fire. Because without it, you will not be able to ignite the inner fire. This joke is not very funny. The reason why we live on, so the joke says, so the instant noodle, the price for instant noodle has gone up. How much? How much was it? And how much is it? So the price of the instant noodle has gone up, and the price of eggs, the price of flour, the price of gasoline, vegetable, they all gone up. The price of oil and cotton and clothing, they all have gone up. Except salary, everything else have gone up. But we still need to live on with courage, because even the cemetery also have gone up, the price for the cemetery. So we need to live on with courage, because everything has gone up except the salary. So the governments these days are really hard, have a hard time. There are a lot of departments. They need to let people have a way to let out. So in the departments, they would put pictures of the heads. So people that have problems or resentments can go into the room. Like in Taiwan, they would throw shoes at the picture, at the photo. And one day, the manager went in, and his own picture had not been, it was still completely fine. And the photos of the other leaders were already hit and it become really bad. But they said that because we haven't changed the photos of the other leaders, but your photo has been changed 3 times. So he was the one that's complained most. So our non-leaking practice is not that you cannot let out at all. I have asked the doctors, is this a good way to be non-leaking? And the doctor said, no, it's not good. Because you don't let out at all. And you retain it all the time. And you don't use it, then that would influence your health. So what should you do? Then when you have attainments, after you have attainments in the non-leaking practice, you need to practice inner fire. Then you have fire in the lower body, then you can change the light drops, the water, into vapor. And the vapor would ascend and to reach all parts of your body, including the skin pores and all the blood vessels and everywhere. Then your hormone would increase. So if you only train in non-leaking and you don't comprehend or you don't do inner fire, you would be sick. Because when you don't use the light drops, it could deteriorate or get rotten. So you need to use the power of the inner fire to warm or to change the light drops into vapor, into qi. So after non-leaking, you need to train in inner fire. So you use the inner fire to vaporize the light drops and then send them to all your body, the bones and the channels and everywhere, all parts of your body. So if you train in non-leaking practice, then you don't get sick very easily because your temperature is higher. Because in this weather, sometimes hot, sometimes cold, then it's easy for you to catch cold. So although if your body is strong and you have a strong qi and you have strong immune system and you have a lot of hormones and light drops, you don't get cold easily. But if your inner fire is not ignited and then you don't let out, then the light drops never get dispersed, that in the future you would also get sick. So those are the 5th instructions for the body. The director asked, so didn't I say that you should show 3 points? And then she said, but it's already past 3 o'clock. This is a play of words Chinese. So, and it's also a play of words in Chinese. We should keep our body well. We should not feel unwell. Because if you feel unwell, then you cannot practice. If you have no energy and you don't feel good, how can you practice? If you are a qi practitioner, you cannot catch cold. If you're an inner fire practitioner, you should not be afraid of cold. And if you are a light drop practitioner, you cannot say that you have problems with your eyesight or your hearings or whatever. No, that's not allowed. One day, in this cold weather, I just said one word, "Oh, it's cold today." Someone immediately said, "Don't you have inner fire?" What I said is that the weather is colder today compared to yesterday. I couldn't even say that. It doesn't mean that I felt cold. or that I'm afraid of the cold, but the weather is colder today compared to yesterday, compared to the summertime. So I cannot even say anything freely. If I said, oh, it's cold today, then they would ask, don't you have inner fire? So I cannot even say, oh, I don't have good eyesight today. I cannot see. They immediately ask, don't you practice the light drops? You have enough hormones. So it seems that I cannot get sick, and that's really, oh, I cannot say this. Once I say it, immediately the cold would find me. So I don't take time off. You cannot say you're cold because you have inner fire. The inner fire practitioner in the winter time, see? Even on a snowy day, I'm still wearing sandals. You know what I wear? One time, there's a reporter interviewing me, and there was a snow outside, and I was wearing sandals standing on the snowy land. And the reporter kept looking at my feet. It's a snowy day, and they all wrap their feet, and you still bare your skins. And I said, see, here I don't wear long sleeve, and I don't wear long pants, even on a snowy day. In the winter time in Seattle, in the past, Zen Master never wear long sleeves or long pants underneath. I'm always like this. In Tibet, when you have attainment in the inner fire practice, in the Tibetan temples, there are many, many halls. Not like our Siarlijang temple, there's only one hall. But in Tibet, there's like the main hall, and the protector's hall, Vajra halls, and Dakini's hall, Daka's hall, the God's hall, and there are many other halls. And like a complex, and it's called Kangsa. It's like a huge complex of monastery. So when you're in a retreat, in seclusion, you practice the inner fire. Then you wear short pants and undershirt, and on a snowy day, you need to walk around the complex, the temple complex or monastery for a long time, even just for one time. That was to show that you have fruition in your inner fire practice. Wearing a very thin clothing on a snowy day, you can walk around the monastery. So you need to reach such a state in order to call fruition in this practice. So there are many benefits in the non-leaking practice. First, you can open your central channel. So in the inner practices, you're visualizing and open the central channel. It would also generate great bliss, and it's an everlasting bliss. It's like Dharma brother Kao Minglu. When he lift up the light drop, and the light drop trembles inside his central channel. Use the light drops to rub against the central channel. So it's trembling and rubbing against the central channel and generate great bliss. And when you have this great bliss, it's very easy for you to enter into meditation. So in your meditation, you would have this bliss. And you sit in a lotus position, that in this bliss and warmth, you enter into the meditation. And it's called the meditation of desire and bliss. So the non-leaking practice can let you enter into meditation, can open the central channel. So it continues to rub against the central channel and open the central channel. And the bliss could last for 12 hours or 24 hours. And that's called great bliss. And the bliss of most ordinary people is called small bliss. Even small bliss, sometimes you can't stand much. That the man would feel as if they've gone to heavens. Also for the woman, even small bliss is already incredible, especially the great bliss that would rub and trembles for 24 hours inside the central channel. Just imagine that kind of great bliss, how long it would last, very long. So the bliss of the non-leaking is much more superior than the bliss of the ordinary people. And then through this bliss, you would be able to enter into meditation, and you can open the central channel and also would be able to prevent all sicknesses and ailments. So these are the benefits of the non-leaking practice. So you would have full and robust chi and also full bliss. And then when the central channels is completely open, you would be able to see lights and luminosities would be emitted. That's the concept in tantric practices. So when you have the attainment and be able to see the lights, then you would practice seeing the light of the great perfection Dharma. Then you would have great attainment. That's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.